We're solving inequalities by multiplication and division. Okay, this is all you need to know for multiplication. If A is greater than B, and you times both by C, okay, then it stays the same way as long as C is positive. That AC is bigger than BC. However, you have A is bigger than B, but if you times by a negative number, like C, it says C is less than 0, it's negative, and you times by it, then what happens is you change the sign. When you times by a negative number, it flips the sign to stay a true statement. Right? Which it'll make more sense when we see numbers. But what you got to know is if you're timesing both sides by a negative number, you have to flip your sign. Alright, so we treat this just like there's an equal sign. Remember, to get rid of the variable, or to get the variable by itself, r, we have to divide if we're multiplying, but we can't divide fractions. So instead what we do is we times by the reciprocal, which the reciprocal of negative 3/7 is negative 7 over 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. This cancels out, you're left with r. Now, like the rule just said, if you times by a negative number, you have to change the sign for it to remain true. Negative 7 over 3 times 21. Right, we can cancel some stuff out. Negative 7 times 7 is negative 49. So to undo division, we're dividing by negative 6. We have to multiply by negative 6. When we multiply by a negative number, we have to change the sign to keep it true. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get...
We have 1/5 of m is greater than or equal to negative 3. To undo timesing by 1/5, we times by 5 over 1, which is the same thing as timesing by 5. So m is down here. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Now the question is, do we change our sign?
Nope.
No, because am I timesing by a negative number?
Nope.
No. Think about what you're timesing both sides by. 5 is a positive number, so it does not change the sign. It's only if I multiply both sides by negative 5. It does not matter what this is. Just because it's negative 3 doesn't make me multiplying both sides by a negative number. Right? It does not matter what this number is. It matters what you multiply by, what you're adding to both sides. Everybody understand? That's what changes the sign. Any questions? Alright, write this down. This is the rule for division. Alright, with division, okay, let's say A is greater than B. When we divide both by C, if C is positive, then my sign does not change. A divided by C is still larger than B divided by C. However, you have A is greater than B. When you divide by a negative number, let's say C is negative, you have to change your sign for it to stay true. Alright? So A divided by C is less than B divided by C because C was negative, and when you times or divide by a negative number, you change your sign. Alright? Any questions?
So is it just like one?
Let me just show an example for you. Let's say 6, okay, is greater than 4. Everybody agree with that statement? Let's say I'm dividing both these by negative 2. What's 6 divided by negative 2? What's 4 divided by negative 2? Okay, which one's bigger? Negative 3 or negative 2? Negative 2. See how I changed my sign? Okay, for it to remain a true statement, you have to change your sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number.
Can you put whatever numbers you want?
Write this down. So I have 60t is greater than 8, so I divide both sides by 60 to find out what t is greater than. Okay, 8 divided by 60, what I can do is just reduce this. I can take 4 out of each and get 2/15. And there's my answer. T is greater than anything bigger than 2/15. 7 times D is less than or equal to 147, so I have to divide both sides by negative 7. D, and then negative 147 divided by 7 comes out to negative 21. Does my sign stay the same or does it change? It changes because I'm dividing by a negative number. For this to remain a true statement, I have to flip my sign. If I did not, it would not work out right. Any questions? Write this one down. Negative 12h is greater than 15. I have to divide by negative 12. Since I'm dividing by a negative number, I have to change my sign. And then negative 15 over 12, I can just reduce as much as possible. By taking 3 out, I get negative 5/4. There's my answer. All right, here's your assignment.